Good evening and welcome to live coverage of the RWB International and RRL 1995 Deutsche Tourenwagen Meisterschaft. I'm Rob Lomas and we're currently in the last moments of qualifying here at Hockenheim. Currently we are looking at Ralph Varela, who has gone quickest in the middle sector and is currently on pole position. He is just 4 thousandths ahead of Klaus Schneider on the front row of the grid. Greg Metcalf is in 3rd place ahead of Andre Bergsma. Then it's David Dorr, Nigel Wood, Marcel Licken, Visar Shkoli, John D and Rick Binnersley rounding out the top 10. RWB Rigel is in 3rd place. Sorry, not 3rd place, excuse me. Sorry, 11th place ahead of Dirk Gretschel, RWB Audi and Timo Koncietsi. We'll have another look at the grid, I'm sure, in a second or so. Got a little warm-up session on the cards at the moment. And there is Marcel Lurken making good use of the warm-up to head out of the pits for a quick installation lap. So now we're looking at Visar Kurjoli in the Promacht liveried Mercedes C-Class. All identical cars from the 1995 season. Just a short little 5-minute warm-up session here this evening. Currently watching Greg Metcalf at the moment on track. Hairpin at the far end of the circuits now. Heading up towards a newer part of the circuit, built when it was, the whole place actually was redeveloped in the early 2000s. Of course, Hockenheim, back in the day when these cars used to run round here, used to go all the way into the forest. Long straights, and that tricky little chicane up at the Ost curve, as well as 2 chicanes on the run out towards the Ost curve and the run back. The first chicane named after the great Jim Clark. It was in the same location where he tragically had that fatal accident in 1968. Currently looking at Visar Zhukoli, who comes out of the hairpin now. Just minutes left here in this warm-up session. Currently watching Visar on the run back to the arena section here. Of course, when DTM used to run here in the 90s, they used to also, it was traditional for many seasons to use the short circuit here at Hockenheim for the season opener. Coming into the last couple of corners now, past the quarter-mile drag strip, into the final corner now up into 4th gear and crossing the finish line. Now looking at RWB in his car. Said earlier, all of these identical cars, and now looking at Klaus Schneider in the infamous, iconic D2 liveried machine. Of course, the livery was absolutely synonymous with Bernd Schneider in the 1990s and into the 2000s. Everyone back to the garage right now and heading out on track. The first race here this evening, just a short 20-minute sprint race before the 40-minute feature race coming up later on. A 40-minute race also including the need to come into the pits to change tyres and refuel potentially. So should have some interesting strategy variation going on there. And the cars are on the grid. The lights go out. Hopefully soon. And they go out now, and it's a good, clean start by the looks of things. A couple of position changes further down the field, but it looks as if it's going to be Klaus Schneider leading them round, through the first corner. Coming up now towards turn 2. Still as close as ever. There's a battle going on mightily between Greg Metcalf and Ralph Arella. Andre Bergson, we're currently looking at now in 4th place. David Dawes up into 5th place. Just ahead of Nigel Wood. Rick Binnersley's just lost a position to Guy Coley for 7th place. Wood and Dawes still battling away. It appears to have been a very clean start from everyone as they all file through the parabolic now up towards the hairpin for the first time here in this 20-minute race. Currently on board with Visar Guy as a Louis Krag as his dime liveried car goes around the outside. That might have been John D, I think. Guy has now dropped down 10th place. In fact, no, it might have been possibly Lurken there. Heading past the Mercedes grandstand now. Meanwhile, further back through the field, we're looking at RWB and RWB Marco. Now, RWB and Rude Dennis. Now back to the front where we're looking at John D and Guy Coley. Absolutely frantic opening lap here at Hockenheim. They come into the arena section for the first time through the hairpin here. Through the little chicane and into the last couple of corners now. Coley coming through the final corner. We were on board with him. Now we're looking at the battle between RWB Audi and Dirk Gretschel for 12th place overall. Just a couple of attempts in it at the moment. Gretschel being in the yellow Promark livery car, heading down towards the turn 2. And we're looking back at the battle between RWB Rigel and Visar Guy Coley. Now we're looking to the battle between RWB Audi and Dirk Gretschel. Guy Coley and Rigel are swapping places with some frequency here. It's also looking quite close indeed, where that gap is extending because the natural concertina effect of everyone braking for the hairpin. Currently on board with Dirk Gretschel at the moment in 12th place as he tries to hold on to the position and try and catch RWB Rigel for 11th place. Coming into the almost mini arena section here. Very late on the brakes indeed was Dirk. No contact though, all clean fair racing as cars spark their way over the curbs here at Hockenheim. Round back into the stadium section now. We're looking at the battle between RWB Charger and RWB Marco as there's a car off in the background there. Herb. In fact, that was Herb there going off in the background, unfortunately. That's a particularly quick corner as well. Back with RWB Charger as he tries to hold on to 18th place from RWB Marco. Currently about 0.3 of a second between them at the moment, heading into turn 1 now on lap 3. Both cleanly through there now. Now we're looking towards Rich Jones in 17th place from RWB Charger's car. Somebody's just received a slowdown penalty there. Maybe, I think that might have been Dirk. Unfortunately, now we're looking at a battle between David Dorr and Marcel Lurken for 6th and 7th place. Marcel in the red diamond liveried car. So David, excuse me, in the blue car just ahead of him. Come in towards the arena section now. Marcel getting very close indeed on the brakes there. We come out of here. David, having had a better exit there than he thinks, coming back into the arena now. We're looking at a battle between Timo Konieczny and RWB Audi for 13th and 14th place. They go side by side through the first part of the arena section. RWB Audi just about holding on there. Timo going up high through the banking there, maybe wanting to try and get the cut back. Not quite able to do so. Keeping it fairly tight there in the last couple of corners to try and get a better exit. And he's right in the slipstream of RWB Audi now as Timo Konieczny. Is he going to have a go at turn 1? Not quite close enough, as much way braking needed at turn 1, unfortunately. Maybe turn 2. Again, not quite. Maybe he's just biding his time for a run at the hairpin. But meanwhile, this is all this is doing is bringing Alwyn SV into the mix here as well. Now currently on board with RWB Rigel as Konieczny actually gets a slow down penalty for track limits. Rigel going to try and outbrake Visar Gaikoli on the inside of the hairpin there. Just about gets the job done as well. Meanwhile, this battle between RWB Audi, Timo Konieczny and Alwyn SV. Konieczny has got past him for a moment. It looks as if Alwyn SV was going to get past as well, but didn't quite do it. Meanwhile, Visar Gaikoli is currently having a look at RWB Rigel to try and reclaim 10th place. See another in the background, that's Dirk Gretschel. Now this battle between Konieczny, Audi, Alwyn SV and Mad Owl is being brought into this as well. Mad Owl and Alwyn SV currently in 15th and 16th place respectively. Now on board with Mad Owl as they come through the last few corners of the arena section in towards the final corner now. The Alwyn SV sparking away there over the curbs between the two corners, heading down now into turn 1. Did a quick old corner, even if it has been moved inwards slightly. David Dorr receives another slowdown penalty for track limits. Still Klaus Schneider leading the way from Ralph Varela. Metcalf in 3rd, Bergsman 4th, Wood 5th, Dorr 6th, Lurken 7th, Binnersley 8th, John D 9th and RWB Rigel rounding out the top 10. Looking at that between Mad Owl and Rich Jones. Alwyn SV having just managed to pull away slightly, coming on board with Rich Jones, not quite able to get the job done on the brakes into the hairpin at the end of the back straight there. But it's still P17 at the moment. Mad Owl still P16. And RWB Charger not too far behind either. Now we're looking at Nigel Wood and David Dorr heading back into the arena now through the hairpin here. much light banking means you can carry a little bit more speed through there than you might initially think you can. And we're now looking at RWB Marco and RWB Charger. RWB Charger stays close the gap a little bit there on the brakes. Now looking back at David Dorr and Nigel Wood. David Dorr going to maybe have a think about it on the inside. Nigel comes across to defend as he is entitled to. David just having to maybe reconsider his approach there and have another go at maybe the hairpin coming up. Keep an eye on that right now for you. Meanwhile, it's now showing the battle as being between Andre Bergsma and Nigel Wood, with David hanging on in there in the background as well. Little trio here battling away for 5th and 6th and 7th as well. You can just see Marcel Lurken there in the dime liveried car in the background. Meanwhile, Alwyn SV is going to have a look up the inside of RWB Audi, but RWB Audi has the inside line into the next corner here. Able to get the job done, although Alwyn SV is going to try and get the cut back. And indeed gains the position from RWB Audi, but RWB Audi gets the position back again. So that's the battle for 14th place. Meanwhile, we're looking at the battle here between Rick Binnersley and RWB Rigel for 8th place at the moment. What's been a frantic opening half of the race here at Hockenheim. In fact, it was almost hard to believe that we're halfway through the first race here. The old saying, time flies when you're having fun. Well, it sure does. Through the Nord curve now and up towards the Einfahrt Parabolica. This battle between Rick Binnersley and RWB Rigel for 8th place, down into 2nd gear. Right-hander, got to get back across for the left-hander, keep the throttle pinned, get a good exit for the Parabolica and up towards the Spitzkehr. Rigel, is he going to have a look up the inside on the brakes? He is, he is going to have a very good think about it. And the camera unfortunately is cut away there, but Rigel did get the position briefly, but Rick Binnersley has managed to reclaim the position. Oh, there's a collision there between... I'm trying to make out who that is. Unfortunately, that's Jones there with, I think that might well have been Mad Al in one of the black Mercedes C-classes. Unfortunately, that's a real shame. Both were running very strongly indeed. We cut back to this battle here as a bit more position changing going on in the midfield between Rick Binnersley and RWB Rigel. Now looking from the rear wing towards the rear wing of Rick Binnersley's car as they come up towards the Nord curve. Looking at this battle here between John D and RWB Audi as they all come through the Sud curve into the Nord curve. Once again. And now looking at Dirk Retschel and Visar Gaikoli coming through the Einfahrt Parabolica and into the Parabolica itself. Battle here between John D, RWB Audi. RWB Allwyn SV is getting involved as well for good measure. There's not much in it between John D and RWB Audi. Less than a tenth of a second now. Is RWB Audi going to have a look on the inside into the Spitzkehr? Not quite close enough. Able to keep there though, but Allwyn SV gets a better exit out of there, but RWB Audi just about able to hold on to 14th place. They come into the unnamed arena section. It doesn't actually have a name on my track map. Now, heading into the Mobile 1 curve. Still a very quick corner indeed. David Dorr is shown as being down in 12th place now, so I think he may have had a little bit of an incident somewhere on track. Look at the battle for 9th between Visar Gaikoli and Dirk Gretschel. Onto the pitch straight, heading back up towards the Nord curve once again. Audi and John D. John D just getting a little bit of a better exit there, pulling out a little bit more of a gap. At the coming out of turn 1, Nord curve, through Einfahrt Parabolica and into the Parabolica now. Into the Spitzkirch now. Now looking at RWB Charger and RWB Marco, and RWB Charger has spun at the Spitzkirch. Lost a place to Matt Hodgson. He's able to get the car going again. He's also lost places to Rudes Dennis and Ryan Pike as well, for good measure. So RWB Charger dropping down to, he's staying in 19th place. Battle here between Dennis and Pike was for 20th. And now looking at the battle once again here between RWB Audi and RWB John D, with just under 5 minutes of the race left to run here. Now looking back at Gaikoli and Gretschel as they come through the Sud curve now. Marking away as the car hit the curve, down the pit straight into the Nord curve. Dab of brake, down a gear. Mash the throttle pedal as Dirk gets a slow down penalty for track limits. So does Alwyn SV, and through the Einfahrt Parabolica. Now we're looking at John D and RWB Audi. From the perspective of RWB Audi, John D a little bit quicker there, about 0.4 of a second or so quicker on that last lap than RWB Audi. Audi is still holding on right there with him. Mind you, it's worth noting that the battle for the lead, as we see Dirk Gretschel and Gaikoli having a battle on track for 9th and 10th place. Gretschel up into 9th, Visar Gaikoli down into 10th place. Meanwhile, the battle for the lead is hotting up quite nicely as well, between just under a second in it, about 6/10 at the moment, between Klaus Schneider and Ralph Arella. As things stand, Marco getting a slowdown penalty for track limits as RWB Rigel has closed right onto the back of Rick Binnersley's car. 2 minutes and 47 seconds of the race remaining here. And down into the Nord curve now. Now Rigel right on the back of Rick Binnersley's car. Gonna have a look to the outside, maybe to try and cut back at the second part of the Einfahrt Parabolica, Not quite able to do so. Next opportunity for RWB Rigel is going to be into the Spitzkirch, the end of the back straight here. Not quite close enough to get the job done this lap. Now, 2 minutes of race to go. Now looking at the battle for the leads here between Klaus Schneider and Ralph Arella. Ralph doing what he does best, just staying right behind you, no more than a few cars lengths away, and just waiting, biding his time for to try and make the move. Looking back at from Rude Dennis's car, looking towards RWB Charger. Battle for 19th place here. I'll also keep an eye on the battle for the lead. Dennis thinking about maybe having a go up the inside, but Charger maybe getting a slightly better exit. Now the battle for the lead between Klaus Schneider and Ralf Arella. Almost matching each other to the 1,000th on that last lap. There's only 9 thousandths difference between Klaus and Ralf on that lap, coming up to the just before the parabolic. Now the up towards Parabolica. Klaus having got a better exit there. Gap opening up to about 0.3 of a second. Coming up now to Spitzke. Ralf not dive bombing it, although Klaus runs a little bit wide, doesn't quite hit the apex there, and that gives Ralf Arella a cracking chance to try and maximise his exit. Coming through into the arena section now. Ralf going to have another look there up the inside, maybe. Klaus coming across to try and hold the position. Sort of kicking off in the midfield as well between David Dorr, Gaikoli, Konieczny, John D and everyone. Meanwhile, battle's still raging away here. Clock has ticked down to 0 as they come through the Sachs curve. For the last time between Klaus Schneider and Ralf Arella, both drivers giving it their absolute all. Is Ralf going to have a little look up the inside into the penultimate corner? No, he's not quite there. He's coming through, they're both coming through the sub-curve now. They're going to be right on each other's tail as they come across to the start-finish line. And indeed they are. Klaus Schneider winning by just a couple of tenths of a second there. Greg Metcalf in 3rd, Andre Bergsma 4th, Wood 5th, Lurkin 6th, Binnersley 7th, Rigel 8th. At the moment, Dirk Gretschel coming home in 9th place. David Dorr just holding on to coming back through the field there to 10th place ahead of Gaikoli, John D, Konieczny, Audi, RWB Alwin SV, Maddow, RWB Marco. And here comes Matt Hodgson in 18th place, RWB Charger in 19th place, Rude Dennis in 20th. Pike in 21st, Rich Jones in 22nd. Yar Erb going to come home in 23rd place. And Christian Tinkler is in the rounds out the field. Klaus Schneider setting the fastest lap of the race there on the penultimate lap with just 9 thousandths of a second between himself and Ralf Arella, and only 0.2 of a second in it at the finish line. Absolutely fantastic racing from everyone there. That was quite a race, that. Just going through the field now. Christian Tinkler is still on the final lap of the race, and now it is going back to the loading screen. We get ready for race 2 here at Hockenheim. For those unfamiliar with the DTM series, we have a 20-minute race to kick things off. Nice little quick sprints race. And then we have the main event of the evening, a 40-minute main race. And do excuse me one moment here. is that? We're just having a quick warm up now, just a little 5-minute blow the cobwebs off, make sure tyres and fuel are all sorted out for the second race this evening, here at the Hockeneimring. Currently looking at Klaus Schneider at the moment. He coming through the parabolica now as we speak. And coming up through the Spitzke now. And heading up to the up into, I don't know whether to call this an arena section or not, because it does feel a little bit like one with the huge grandstand at the side of the track, but yeah, I don't know, it's not really an arena section in the traditional sense of the term. Coming now into the proper arena section here though, heading up towards the Sachs curve one more time. Through the chicane past parts of the FIA World Rallycross layout here to the penultimate turn, and just coming into the pits there. Now looking at Ruud Dennis in the ex-Bernd Mailander liveried, driven machine, excuse me. The list of drivers who raced in DTM in 1995 really does almost read like a who's who of touring car racing. Manuel Reuter driving the Opel Calibras. You had Nicola Larini representing Alfa Romeo as well, and of course Mercedes with the likes of Kurt Thiem, Bernd Mailander, Bernd Schneider, Ellen Lur as well. Truly a cracking era of touring car racing. About 20 or so seconds left to run here in the warm-up. And just about to come across the line is Ruud Dennis now to set the fastest lap time, and indeed the only completed lap in warm-up. Excuse me, sorry, now looking at RWB Arwin SV. And coming as everyone returns to the grid ahead of the start of the second race of the evening here at Hockenheim on the Grand Prix Strecke. Cars currently in garage at the moment, and all lining up moving onto the grid now. Here, 20 seconds to go until we get the lights coming on here to start the second race this evening. Should be another fascinating battle. It's Klaus Schneider, Ralf Arella on the front row of the grid. Metcalf and Bergsma on the second row. The lights are on now. And we are racing here at Hockenheim. Been a good, clean start so far. far from everyone coming looking at Greg Metcalf, who's going around the outside of Ralph Varela, and in fact is not quite being able to pull it off. Everyone filing through the first couple of corners now. Still looking at Metcalf. He tries to go past Arella for second place. Lurken's moved up into sixth place ahead of Rick Binnersley. Timo Konieczny's moved up a place as well, up into 11th. Coley is down in 16th place at the moment, just behind RWB Charger. Let's keep up with these position changes as best I can. David Dorr, I think, may have been involved in an incident somewhere on that opening lap. He's down in last place. RWB Charger now still in 16th place as Owen SV and Guy Coley are battling away. So's Matt Hodgson, Mad Al and Rube Dennis currently on board with RWB Charger at the moment. Cars everywhere in front of him. There's contact there involving RWB Charger Mad Al as well. I think maybe involved there somewhat. Maybe Dennis will have a look as they can round past us. And I don't think Rube was involved. There's a car off in the background there in a very big way between the Mobile 1 curve and the Sachs curve. That's Konieczny, I think, who has had a big old off. Has just moved past Yara for 15th place. Now we're looking at Marcel Lurken, who is battling away with RWB Rigel and Dirk Gretschel. Lurken just tucking in there behind RWB Rigel as they come through the Nords curve for the start of the second lap. Dirk only quarter of a second behind Lurken. Going on board with Marcel now as they come through the Einfahrt Parabolica up towards the Parabolica. Pretty consistent, 0.3 of a second or so between them. Coming into the Spitzker now. So currently looking at Dirk Gretschel in the Promax sponsored car. Lurken still just ahead of him there in 8th place. Now looking at Rube Dennis, battling away with Yar Erb on the outside, Dennis on the inside there. Erb able to hold on to the position. Dennis having a little look up the inside there on the brakes for the mini arena, or I guess you could call it the Kleiners Arena. Now looking at a battle between Klaus Schneider and Ralph Varela. Only a few tenths of a second in it as they come in towards the penultimate corner, past the drag strip into the stud curve now. Now looking at RWB Audi, who's lost a few positions. Unfortunately, he's just got past Mad Albert for 23rd place, and Rube Dennis has had a bit of an off somewhere as well, as he's now showing in 24th place. Currently now looking back at Marcel Lurken as he battles RWB Rigel for 7th place. Quite close enough at the Einfahrt Parabolica. Might have a go at the Spitzker. We'll wait and see. Through the Parabolica now, Marcel getting good tow, good slipstream from RWB Rigel. Rigel going to the inside. Lurken going to have to try and tough it out around the outside and maybe get the cuts back. Not quite able to, as RWB Rigel holds on the inside. Into the arena now. Absolutely flat through there, hard on the brakes now for this tight little left-hander with an absolutely vicious little sausage curb on the inside. Coming out the arena now up towards the Mobile 1 curve, and there's an incident on track there involving Matt Hodgson and someone else. We'll have a look, see who it is. Maybe not David Dorr, maybe Mad Al, I think, was involved in that as well. Looking at the battle between David Dorr and Tinkler. Tinkler just got past door there. 17th place now. Looking at RWB Marco, just ahead of RWB John D, excuse me, and coming back onto the pitch straight now. Towards the Nord curve once again. Heading up towards the Einfahrt Parabolica now, hard on the brakes down to first or second gear, depending on preference. Flat through this little left-hander here and into the Parabolica now, which is easy flat in top gear. Heading up now hard on the brakes. RWB Rigel sends it and just about gets onto the position there, and Lurken also gets past as well as Rick Binnersley. Puts too much power down. Coming out the corner, spins it and pointing the wrong way, unfortunately. Binnersley, Rick down to 13th place now as cars going off all over the place at the Spitz curve. Careful, we're looking at RWB Charger at the moment. He's got RWB Audi just in front of him. May have been Tinkler off track there a little bit at the exit of Spitzker. Heading through one of the unnamed corners now and heading up to the Mobile 1 curve. The Mobile 1 curve. The Audi getting very wide through there indeed, and now looking back at this battle between RWB Rigel and Marcel Lurken. Battle here for 6th place. We're currently focusing on Lurken in the Dime liveried car. Now we're looking at, I think RWB Audi has made a bit of a mistake, unfortunately, as Matt Hodgson goes past him there. Maybe a bit of contact somewhere. Door has been given a slowdown penalty in his bid to try and make up some spots on track. Up in 16th place now is Door, about 7/10 behind Timo Konieczny, and is catching him as well for that matter. Looking at Ralph Arella there, now looking at John D, who's got RWB Arwin SV right in front of him in the TAC liveried car. Coming up Spitz curve into the arena section. Maybe we could call it the Noyers Arena? I don't know. Now looking back at the battle here between Klaus Schneider and Ralph Arella. Only 4 or 5 tenths of a second in it as they hit the brakes. Before then, there's a car off at the Spitzker. That's Tinkler. Tinkler having a bit of a spin there, unfortunately. Now looking at Rick Binnersley, battling away with John D. Next to nothing between them. Almost trading paint by the looks of things. And right in front of them is RWB Arwin SV. Hardly anything between these three on track at the moment. Through the Nord curve now, Binnersley having to run there a little bit wider there through the Nord curve, and now hard, all three of them hard on the brakes for the Einfahrt Parabolica. Through the little left hand there and into the Parabolica itself. Remains to be seen if there's going to be a fairly late move on the brakes, but we cut away to Marcel Lurken battling with RWB Rigel. Rigel sending up the inside there to get 6th place at the Spitzker. A little bit further behind him still. Arwin SV in 11th, John D 12th, Binnersley 13th. I'm looking at Mad Owl versus Yar Erb. Inside there. Now trying his best to find a way past for 19th place. And the car that was driven at the time by Jan Magnussen. battle between Owen SV and Rick Binnersley. John D has got past the pair of them, and Rick has also got past Owen as well. The tyres starting to go up a little bit there. Perhaps Madow's got past Herb as they come into the Mobile 1 curve. Now we're looking at David Dorr and Jones. Richard Jones, excuse me. Coming out of the stud curve, down the pitch straight once again, and up towards the Nord curve. We'll go on board with David Dorr as he comes up towards the Einfahrt Parabolica. Have a look at the inside here. He's on the inside. He brakes late. Quite able to get the job done because Jones does have the inside of this next left-hander here, but a little bit warily on the power there. Is that going to be enough for David Dorr to get past on the run up to the Spitz curve? He's on the inside here, but he's going to be on the outside for the next corner. Meanwhile, we're now looking at Marcel Lurken and RWB Rigel battling away for 6th place. Dorr has indeed got past Jones for 14th. See Dirk Gretschel just getting involved in the background here as well, showing Jones as being behind Dorr now. So David Dorr has gone from 24th up to 14th place so far. Good drive from him during this race so far. Only 12 minutes into the race, still a long time left. We still have pit stops to come as well, which should be very, very interesting indeed. Looking at Dirk Gretschel and Marcel Lurken. RWB Rigel just in front of them. Visa Raikkonen just behind them as well. Nice little 4-car train battle for position. Go on board with Raikkonen now. Moving through the Parabolica, not close enough to have a serious go here at the Spitzker. Gretschel runs very, very wide indeed, and might give Visa Raikkonen a bit of a chance heading into the arena here past the grandstand. Currently looking at Marcel Lurken, or rather we were looking at Marcel Lurken, now we're looking back at Raikkonen, who's just ahead of Gretschel here at the moment so far. So just behind Gretschel, excuse me. This is allowing Marcel Lurken and RWB Rigel just ahead there to pull away a little bit. The gap between Lurken and Gretschel having opened up to about 1.2, 1.3 seconds, depending on how the Constantina effect goes. But Lurken now just over half a second behind RWB Rigel. It's still Klaus Schneider, Ralf Arella, Metcalf, Bergsma, Wood in front of them for the top 5. RWB Marco currently in 10th place, just ahead of John D and Rick Binnersley. And then Owen SV, David Dorr, Rich Jones, Timo Konieczny, Pike, RWB Charger, Maddow, Herb, Matt Hodgson, RWB Audi, Tinkler and Ruth Dennis, who is currently showing as being 6 laps down, unfortunately, at the moment. RWB Charger gets a slowdown penalty for track limits, so does David Dorr. On the race to a Spitz curve now. Coley closing up to Gretschel there. Race for the arena section now. It's as if Gretschel may run a little bit wide through the first tight part of that left-hander, but if anything, he's opened the gap up slightly there. And through the Mobil 1 curve now, up towards the Sachs curve. On board with V-Star Guy Coley at the moment as we speak. Through there now, through the little chicane here. Down into the penultimate corner. Through the stud curve now, and back onto the pitch straight again. The 10 laps into the race so far here. We'll come through the Nord curve again. And now looking at Matt Hodgson in 21st place. He's got Erb in front of him and a fast approaching RWB Audi just behind him. RWB Audi looking very racy indeed as Mad Out just goes past John D there. In fact, Erb also getting past John D, as does RWB Audi. He's also got a good run out of Nord curve, and that's slightly later on the brakes into the Iron Fat Parabolica. That moves RWB Audi up into 20th place, excuse me. Matt Hodgson down to 21st. I think John D might have had a bit of an issue here because he's losing time hand over fist to everyone else. So keep an eye on that. Boys, Matt Hodgson goes on the brakes, maybe has a look there, trying to get past RWB Audi, just about gets away with it. In fact, John D is being shown as having a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So whether he had damage or he came in for his mandatory stop remains to be seen, but either way, that's not ideal. Meanwhile, battle's still raging on between Klaus Schneider and Ralph Arella. Here so far, Schneider still leading, but only by a couple of few tenths of a second from Ralph Arella. Ralph doing what he does best, biding his time, waiting for a mistake to come and then pouncing when that mistake happens. Both coming out of the Spitzkehre now, up towards the new arena section here. Coming into this tight little left-hander. Ralph not quite close enough there to get past Klaus Schneider. And we're looking at Marcel Lurken and RWB Rigel coming through into the mini arena section here now. Rigel getting a better exit there by the looks of things over Lurken. Now heading into the Mobil 1 curve and up towards the Sachs curve. Very little to choose between both drivers here, both doing a very, very good job so far. Up to the penultimate corner now, into the final turn. These two Lurken going a bit wide there. Rigel noticeably tighter to the inside line through the stud curve and able to just eke out a little bit of breathing room there. Meanwhile, Klaus Schneider has come into the pits for his first pit stop. And means that Ralph Arella is now leading from Metcalfe, Bergsma and Wood. Now looking at a battle here between RWB Marco and RWB Rick Binnersley. They all fighting it out for position here. Schneider now down to 15th place, excuse me. Just been passed there by Konchetsny. And so Schneider has made his pit stop this race. Well, on board with RWB Arwin SV. Him and David Dorr pretty much side by side. Arwin on the outside, Dorr on the inside. Is Dorr going to be able to get a cut back there? Oh, he's running very wide indeed. Over there's Tinkler just spinning out, unfortunately, coming out the final turn. Currently looking at RWB, John D now looking at Owen SV and David Dorr. Owen SV getting up the inside there at the mini arena section, but Dorr is going to come back at him, is he? Yes, he is, through the second part of the complex. Means that David Dorr just about holding on to 11th place there at the moment, ahead of RWB Owen SV. Now looking at Guy Coley, and Dirk Gretschel battling for 7th and 8th place. Guy Coley in 8th place at the moment, just ahead of Gretschel. Coming down the pit straight now, up towards the Nord curve once again. Coley just giving Gretschel's car a bit of a tap there. Guy Coley getting a slowdown penalty for his troubles as well, for continuing to abuse track limits, but through the impact parabolica getting quite close there indeed. Meanwhile, here comes Ralph Arella coming out of the pits now. A whole gaggle of pit stops here at the moment. We're midway through the race, and Ralph Arella's just been given a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane. It's a massive stroke of luck for Klaus Schneider. That's not going to do Arella's chances any good at all. In fact, it'll be quite interesting to see if he can make it back into the top 10 after his drive-through penalty, just a fraction of a second too soon in releasing the pit lane speed limiter. And Ralph Arella making a very, very rare mistake there. Well, he goes past Timo Konietzny on the way at the Spitzke. Is an absolute disaster for Ralph Arella. Meanwhile, battle here between Dirk Gretschel and Visar Guy Coley is currently only half a second or so, just under between them. Marcel Lurkin is right there with RWB Rigel, both coming into the pits now for their mandatory pit stop. There's Matt Hodgson just running off the circuit slightly there at the new complex. And now we're looking at Mad Al and RWB Audi battling here for 21st place. Mad Al going to send it up the inside at the Spitzke and pulls it off. RWB Audi just about able to keep with him as they have a drag race out of the corner. Mad Al on the inside there. Is he going to be able to... Audi going to be able to get past? No, he's not quite. Greg Metcalf has also received a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane as well. The drivers are all coming into the pits now. Gretschel, Konietzny, Lurkin. Excuse me. And once again, they're just showing up on screen that Greg Metcalf has a drive-through penalty. Coming into the pits now. Here between Guy Coley and Binnersley. Binnersley ahead and on warmer tyres, excuse me, as Rich Jones coming out of the pits now. And not getting penalised for it. Currently Klaus Schneider leading from Andre Bergsma. Greg Metcalf in 3rd place, but with a drive-through penalty hanging over him. Then it's RWB Charger up in 4th place. At the moment, Charger, I don't think, has pitted so far, as Matt Hodgson also gets a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane, excuse me. And just like that, we cut to Matt Hodgson battling with Yar Erb. Going around the outside at the Einfahrt Parabolica and pulling it off, although Hodgson gets a better exit there and manages to get back past him again. Now we're looking at Guy Coley and Binnersley in the battle for 10th place. Binnersley holding on as they head into the Sachs curve once again. Nigel Wood there, having gone past Metcalf, so has Arella and Rigel. So I think Metcalf is in the pits to serve his penalty. He's field a little bit, I think. Now looking at Greg Metcalf. As David Dorr gets a slowdown penalty for track limits abuse. This is the battle for 6th place between Metcalf and Marcel Lurken. RWB Charger has also come into the pits as well. As David Dorr gets another slowdown penalty. There's currently Klaus Schneider leading from Andre Bergsma, Nigel Wood in 3rd, Ralph Varela in 4th at the moment. Although I don't think Ralph will be staying there for too long, unfortunately. And RWB Rigel, Marcel Lurken, Greg Metcalf, Dirk Gretschel, Rick Binnersley and Visar Gaikoli. Only Binnersley here battling for 9th place overall. Gaikoli having to almost hitting the back of Binnersley's car and having to take avoiding action and run off the circuit slightly there, unfortunately. And we're looking at Konechny and Mad Al as Mad Al gets past Timo on the brakes there, heading into the Spitzkehre. Also getting a slowdown penalty for his troubles as well. Into the arena section now. This is bringing RWB Charger into the mix as well. Currently now looking at RWB Charger. Only a couple of few attempts there away from Timo at the moment. Outer Mobile 1 curve into Sachs curve now. Both taking fairly similar lines through there. Varela still yet to pit, I have noticed. Battle continuing here between Marcel Lurken and Greg Metcalf. Metcalf a little bit wide there on the way into Spitzkehre. Not quite able to get the cut back on Marcel. Still just under 0.4 seconds between them. Into the arena section here, although Marcel runs incredibly wide, and that's enough to let Metcalf back through into 6th place. Looking at this battle between RWB Charger, Timo Konechny and RWB Audi. Charger on the inside, Konechny trying to send it around the outside. See a kick of oversteer there as Timo Konechny got the throttle coming out of the corner. RWB Charger, excuse me, staying in 17th place there. Konechny still in 18th. Really using the curbs like a proper touring car. Kick of oversteer on the exit. Is that going to be enough for RWB Audi to maybe get past? Indeed it is. So RWB Audi has got past Timo Konechny there, but Konechny's managed to get back past again. Battle's still raging on. They're swapping positions like you wouldn't believe at the moment. Currently now looking at RWB Audi. Got RWB Charger just ahead of him. Konechny's drops back by 7.5 seconds now, so I'm guessing that there was some slight contact, unfortunately, between Konechny and Audi. Meanwhile, Greg Metcalf in 5th place has just got past RWB Rigel as well now. Now looking at RWB Rigel, only a 10th behind Metcalf. Lurken also right with them as well as they come through the arena section here. Just 10 minutes to go in this race here at Hockenheim. 10 minutes and 37 seconds to be precise. Coming into the Mobile 1 curve once again. Heading up to Sachs curve now. Still all line astern. Lurken almost within touching distance of the rear bumper of RWB Rigel's car, now on board with Ralph Varela. Got Nigel Wood just in front of him there. Wood running very wide indeed at the exit of the Nord curve. Varela able to get past as Wood serves his slow down penalty, and that's Ralph Varela up into 3rd place. Provisionally, I should add, as Lurkin and Rigel still battling away. RWB Rigel still in 6th place, Marcel Lurkin still in 7th at the moment. Through the Parabolica now, Lurkin is on the inside for here. RWB Rigel's going to have the line for the Spitz curve, and indeed there's a bit of a hip and shoulder there from between Lurkin and Rigel. But Marcel Lurkin gets the position, so Marcel Lurkin's up into P6 now, just ahead of RWB Rigel. They're still battling away here, and all this is doing is actually letting Greg Metcalf pull away ahead of them in 5th place. Now 1.8 seconds and counting, such is this battle. Most fierce as they come through the Mobile 1 curve and up towards Sachs curve again. Going into orbit was Lurkin there. Rigel having to go the long way round, trying to get the cut back there, not quite able to. Coming into the chicane now. It's only really one line, to be quite honest, and into the penultimate corner. Nice and tidy through there into the final turn now. Coming onto the pit straight up towards the Nord curve once again. Lap 19 here at Hockenheim. Both drivers pushing as hard as you can imagine. Hard on the brakes now for the Einfahrt Parabolica. For the actual Parabolica itself now, Yarub and Visar Gaikoli get slow down penalties for track limits. A battle here between Rick Binnersley and David Dorr. Only about 10th of a second or so between them. David Dorr in the blue car, Rick Binnersley in the black car. Visar Gaikoli just behind them. Dorr is going to try and outbreak Binnersley to get 9th place. In fact, he's able to hold on, but Binnersley tries to keep going around on the inside, not quite able to. Dorr is on the outside. They're side by side heading into the arena section here now. And we cut away to the battle between Marcel Lurkin and RWB Rigel. Showing that Binnersley is in 9th place ahead of Dorr and Gaikoli. Meanwhile, Rigel about a few tenths of a second behind Marcel Lurkin here as they come up towards the Sud curve once again. Coming through here now, and about to, now we're looking at the battle between RWB Charger and RWB Audi. Not an awful lot in it, about 6-7 tenths of a second at the moment, so Charger holding on as things stand. Now back to the battle between Lurkin and Rigel once again. Coming through the Parabolica now. And heading, now looking at here at the back, a little bit further back now to Rick Binnersley and David Dorr once again. Now 4 tenths of a second or so between them. I don't think David is going to be close enough to have a look up at the Spitzke. And indeed, yeah, not quite close enough, but able to close the gap slightly. Coming through now through the little kink here into towards the big grandstand. Second gear rather for David Dorr through there. Same for Rick Binnersley, up into 3rd through here. Further back, RWB Audi is going to have a little look around the outside of RWB Charger, maybe try and get the cut back. Not quite able to back out a bit very slightly by the looks of things to avoid hitting RWB Charger. Oh, a little bit of contact there between RWB Audi and RWB Charger. RWB Audi backing off to let Charger pull a bit of a gap there. Now back to this battle between David Dorr and Rick Binnersley. David still 3-4 tenths away from Rick at the moment. And coming into the Einfacht Parabolica now. David about a quarter of a second or so behind Rick. He's closer than he was on the previous lap, so he might be within striking distance here. They come into the Spitz curve now. David Dorr staying in the slipstream of Rick Binnersley. Rick on going to the inside to try and protect the inside line for the corner, which he does, but David able to close up nicely as well. Yeah, it's about the same as it was before. And still about 0.3 of a second between Rick Binnersley and David Dorr for 9th place. Here we're currently looking from the roof cam on Rick Binnersley's car. They come into the Mobile 1 curve now. Just pulling away slightly there. Sorry, coming into Sachs curve now as well. And really one line through there, so can close up quite nicely. Can't really overtake in these last couple of corners here, although Rick Binnersley runs very wide indeed between the two right-handers, one of which was the Sud curve. Coming now up towards the Nord curve once again here at Hockenheim. Now 22 at the moment, just under 3 minutes of the race to go. David Dorr gets a slow down penalty for track limits as well. Now looking at the battle here between Nigel Wood and Greg Metcalf. Metcalf able to get past Wood on the inside there, but Metcalf I think has done enough to get the position. Now back to Binnersley and Dorr. Battle royale here between these two. David able to really close up on the brakes there, heading into the Spitzkehr. And then Rick just able to pull out a little bit of a gap again as they exit the corner. Ryan Pike getting a slow down penalty for track limits. He's currently in 20 seconds at the moment. And Binnersley still holding on from Dorr. Still Schneider, Bergsma, Arella, Metcalf, Wood. Top 5. Now looking at RWB Charger and RWB Audi. They continue their scrap from earlier. Audi having closed back up to Charger. They head into the mini arena section as Klaus Schneider gets a slowdown penalty for track limits abuse. Through sort of sequence of corners here. Now looking at Mad Al versus Rich Jones. Jones just pulling away a little bit there from Mad Al as they come out of the Sachs curve and now up towards the S's here. Meanwhile, Charger and Audi are going to try going side by side through the S's here. Charger just about able to hold on, having to take a very tight line through there. RWB Audi just regrouping himself, maybe for a go at the Nord curve, maybe for a go at the Einfacht Parabolica. Coming in the Nord curve now is RWB Audi going to be close enough to maybe have a little look up the inside here. At the Spitz curve, decides against having a go up the inside. Oh, gives Charger another little nudge there, lets him go. That might well be the end of that battle, but in the RWB International and RRL Nächsten 195 Deutsche Tourenwagen Meisterschaft, it's not over till it's over. Now we look at Klaus Schneider, who It's only just come out of turn 1, so there will be another lap here. Klaus currently leading by 5.8 seconds from Andre Bergsma in second place, Ralph Varela in third place as David Dorr goes off there at the exit of the Sachs curve and has come back onto the track now. He's dropped a couple of positions there. Now looking at RWB Marco in 12th place, and now Rich Jones, who's still got Mad Al right there with him. Schneider coming through the Spitzker now for the final time. Got the run back to the pits to go. Lay down penalty for RRB for track limits abuse as well. Klaus Schneider has hardly made a single mistake all evening, both in this race and in the first race as well. Despite having to soak up immense pressure from Ralph Varela for most of the evening. He comes into the Sachs curve for the final time in the D2 liveried Mercedes. Coming through the S's now and into the penultimate corner for the final time, into the Sud curve for the final time, and it's going to be Klaus Schneider who sweeps the meeting here at Hockenheim. He wins the second race of the evening. Andre Bergsma is going to come home in second place. Ralph Varela is going to come home in third place, subject to penalties. I don't know if he took his drive-through or not. I'll have to check that later on. Metcalf in fourth, Wood fifth, Lurkin sixth. RWB Rigel dropping back a little bit at the end there to seventh place. Now, Dirk Gretschel going to come home in eighth place in the Promarkt liveried machine. Now, I'm looking at Visar Guy Coley as he comes out of the stud curve now to take ninth place, and David Dorr rounding out the top 10. Not bad considering David was last at one stage at the early stages of this race. RWB Orwin SV is in 11th place. RWB Marco in 12th. Rich Jones is going to come home in 13th and just about hold off Mad Al. Meanwhile, there's a battle, or a mighty battle brewing between RWB Charger and RWB Audi, which has been going on for most of the race so far. RWB Charger is going to just about hold on to 15th place from Mad Al. Sorry, from RWB Audi, excuse me. Mad Al's in 14th. John D is going to come home in 17th place ahead of Timo Konieczny in 18th. RRB is going to finish in 19th ahead of Matt Hodgson in 20th place. Rich Pike is currently in 21st at the moment, ahead of Rick Binnersley and Tinkner, and he's going to be in 22nd, and as Klaus Schneider also decides to set the fastest lap of the race for good measure as well. Schneider just about 1/10 of a second quicker in terms of best lap than Ralph Arella in that. You see coming through the field now, Rick Binnersley recording an unfortunate late DNF there at the end. Tinkler also DNFing, and Rude Dennis also having technical issues, unfortunately, during the early stages of that encounter. Well, it's been another fantastic evening's racing here in the RWB International and RRL DTM Championship. The final meeting of the season is going to be next Friday at the same time. The final meeting being held at the Autodrome Most in the Czech Republic. Not quite as well known perhaps as Brno, but nevertheless a very, very fun circuit to drive indeed. Well, that's going to conclude coverage of the DTM series. On RWB International side, we've got the Clash of the Warriors series coming up on Saturday. Going to be very good fun indeed. And the next round of the Constructors' Championship coming up for good measure on Tuesday night. In the meantime, I've been Rob Lomas, and as always, it's bye for now.